Welcome to Faith Stories with Dawn DeMarco Buck. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they will see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16.
Hello and welcome to Faith Stories. I'm Dawn DeMarco Buck. What is Faith Stories? Faith Stories are Christians from all walks of life who share their stories of faith, hope, and love. And my prayer is through these stories and through God's Word, which is the Bible, you would come to know your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So if you need a Bible, please reach out to me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. You guys, my next guest, wow, I get the chills just saying that because I met her several months ago. We booked out way in advance because she has such a story to share, you guys. Her name is Dawn Vazquez. From survival to significance, rebuilding life, faith, and purpose after the unexpected. Dawn Vazquez is the founder of Women Empowering in Real Time, a speaker, business coach, and author of From Making Money to Making Peace, which you can't see it yet, but you will see the cover. After building a successful career in construction, development, financing, Dawn was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness and given 2 to 5 years to live, which, oh, by the way, was about 10 years ago, and she is a miracle walking, you guys. Her journey of overcoming adversity, rebuilding her health, and reinventing her life became the foundation for her book. Today, she helps women navigate life's unexpected transitions with confidence, purpose, and a practical blueprint for moving forward. Her message is simple. Your great season can begin the moment you stop looking back and start taking action. You're going to meet her right after these messages.
Broughton Garage Door Sales now offers you a difference with the LiftMaster Secure View Ultra Quiet Smart Opener with camera, LED 360-degree lighting, and battery backup. Built-in camera adds video and two-way audio communication to the MyQ app. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Schedule today at broughton.com.
Just simply call Broughton, we open doors for you.
Tavilla Properties, located at 11471 West Sample Road, Suite 17, located in Coral Springs, Florida, for all your commercial needs. Call Jan at 954-341-1632. That's 954-341-1632, or visit www.tavillaproperties.com. Welcome back to Faith Stories. If you have any prayer requests, please email me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. That's faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com.
And welcome back. Okay, my guest, we met a couple months ago, you guys, and it was so funny. She was buying, I don't know, food or a drink or whatever, and we started talking and totally spoke for probably about 15 minutes, just standing in line. And she shared her story, and I'm so glad you did, Dawn. So welcome. It's going to be weird talking to another Dawn on the set. Yeah. I mean, it's like, okay. So okay, I always ask the same question. Mm-hmm. Were you brought up in a Christian household?
Absolutely. Actually, my father's Catholic.
Okay.
And my mother's Lutheran, so they brought us up Lutheran. Okay. But I would go with my father to a church that was not only Spanish, but it was also American. So I got the both. So as a little kid, sometimes I'd be with my pop. And we didn't go often, but we went enough that I'd be sitting in the pews and, on your knees, up and down, up and down.
Catholic calisthenics.
Exactly. But what he did was he was showing me a foundation early that to this day, and I've been going to Christ Fellowship now, which is non-denominational, for over 25 years.
Love
that I love when they say to you as you walk in, welcome home, because I love to say, I've never left.
Oh,
I've always. So no matter where my journey took me, I always knew I had a faith. And that foundation is what brought me home every time.
Wow.
Yeah. But we did go every Sunday.
Unbelievable.
Dressed to the nines. My dad, Yeah, dressed to the nines, always,
Isn't that
always.
awesome? Is your
Yeah.
dad still alive?
Unfortunately, I lost him to,
That's right.
yes, I lost him at
grandmother
61.
and your dad.
Yes,
I
yes,
remember.
as if God had a timeline.
Yeah.
I lost my grandmother 6 months after I was diagnosed, and we were very close. And then about a year and a half after that, I lost my dad at 61
Yeah,
to a
too
massive
young.
heart attack.
Too young.
Too
Too
young.
young.
Too young, yeah.
All right. Well, let's transition to just your upbringing as far as like you literally. I mean, just the story that you talk about how you went into mortgaging and construction. Is
Yeah,
that correct? And
yeah,
you had a friend
construction financing,
right?
yeah.
And you had a friend say you need to go and interview this for
Yeah.
this job, or you called someone.
Yes,
tell
I had
me,
a friend.
tell me that story.
Yes, yes. So what I always tell women is, for me, connections is huge.
Of course, it
So
is.
always
Relationships,
right? And those relationships are there for a reason. I definitely believe that nothing is by chance or coincidence.
Right.
So that relationship that you had maybe 5-10 years earlier, if you foster it and nurture it,
Right.
you may need that relationship to help you in a different season of your life or a different
Absolutely.
direction. And this was that time. And I called my girlfriend. I had met her years prior.
Right. And how old were you at that time?
I was in my 20s, early
Okay,
20s,
all right.
early 20s, and I had said to her, I had taken a trip to Florida. I said, "Oh my God, these are where my people are." And it was sunny 365 days
Oh,
a
yeah,
year.
pretty
I
much.
was like, I'm home. And, no one, I mean, not a single person, everyone was like, "You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy for doing this." And I said, "I don't care. I know in my spirit there's a reason that I'm meant to be down here." So I called my girlfriend, who happened to be a headhunter. And she was unique in the sense that headhunters usually focus on companies that start at six figures.
Right.
And up.
Okay.
Okay. So there I was with no college degree, as I share in the book. I tried to go to college. I even remember telling the financial aid people when they told me that I had too much money, that I didn't qualify for financial aid. I said, "But I'm Puerto Rican. Don't I meet somebody's statistics?" Right? To be there. They were like, "Sorry, it doesn't work that way." So I was like, "Fine."
So you were asked to leave because you made too much money.
Exactly. I didn't qualify for financial aid. And I remember saying to them, "But I can't afford you, the rent,
Right.
the car, life."
Right. Exactly.
and
So
I
you
was
didn't
young.
qualify.
I didn't qualify for anything. So luckily, like I said in the book, I had a friend of mine that worked for household finance at the time. You needed a 4-year degree. And I know this is a long story to answering your question, but
No,
it's
that's okay.
also-
That's fine.
Well, it's to explain kind of how this
Yeah,
came
yeah,
into
absolutely.
how this came into be. So I ended up meeting a friend of mine. He had just graduated Penn State, Maine. He was working in finance, and he says, "Dawn, with your personality, they're
Right.
going to love you. Just you can't tell anybody you don't have a 4-year degree, but you have to pass the state boards." Studied my butt off, ended up passing the state boards. So I had that in my back pocket.
Right.
So when I reached out to Tamara, and the reason I share that is because people always want to know the how.
Right.
Okay, that's the how. I had it in my back pocket that I had that license from Pennsylvania to do mortgages in the first place.
Right.
So I was able to reach out to my girlfriend, and when she said, "Dawn, they're asking for someone with a 4-year degree and like X amount of years in business," I had none of the above. And I said to her,
I
"But
love
that's
this.
okay." I was like, "That's okay. Just get me the interview, get me in the door. If it's meant to be, it'll be." So that's how I ended up. She made it happen. She got me the interview. And then when I went to the interview, I said to them, "Look, I realize I don't have everything you're asking for, but
Right.
I've got the drive and I've got the will, and I'll make it happen." I had already worked in household finance, which was up in Pennsylvania.
Right.
I had that behind my belt. And I said, if I can do, 300 calls a day in telemarketing, I can certainly go after an account.
Oh my gosh.
And it happened to be that I had said to them, I want to do construction because I don't have the personality to ask you if you're happy with your mortgage.
Right.
I'm
I
not
know,
in the
that sounds
refinance
monotonous.
business.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, like
right?
I don't want to babysit your,
Yeah.
your finances. Yeah.
So okay, but there's more to that story, and that's what I love about this story is you go in there and
Yeah.
you're interviewing with the owner of the company.
Well, so Miss Patty was actually the top realtor, and
Okay.
she was a name that I had gotten by sitting in old stuffy steakhouses. And I kept hearing her name. Now, this is a tall woman. I mean, she stands in heels, probably 6 foot.
But wait, go back
Yeah.
because I'm thinking
Okay.
of when you interviewed for this position and you
Yes,
said
yes.
I believe that you mentioned this in your book that you went in and said, "Give me 6 months."
Oh yes, so you're speaking about the interview with Peter,
Right.
and I said to him, "Look, I realize that I'm new to the industry. I'm also new to the state, but I said if you give me 6 months, I've got the hunger. And then I had talked to him about what I did at Household Finance, and I
Right.
said, but here's the thing. I don't want to be stressed, so I need 6 months of my rent covered. And he looks at me and he goes, okay, so you're either real confident, right? He's like, you're either real confident or real cocky, but either way, I'm intrigued. I want to see where this goes. And I said to him, what's the worst that can happen? Give me the 6 months. If I can't make it happen, you fire me. No, you know what I mean? And I'll go, somewhere else. And he took a shot on me. And it seemed like 6 months just seemed to be the branding, because then when I would meet Miss Patty, who, as I said, statuesque, 6 foot tall woman who also modeled at Worth Avenue when she was young, she was the head realtor for his development company. So for me, it was all about, I want to know who are the people. I was never afraid of, I'm not worthy enough to stand in front of you. And here's a quote that I got from my pop-up that I took the entire career I had. He said, just remember, honey, they had to open a book also. Meaning,
Amen.
Hey,
you're
that's
no better
great
than me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's great that they've made that accomplishment, but they started just where you're starting today.
Absolutely.
So I always kept that in the back of my mind, even when I sat and I talked to her, because for 6 months I went in there every week and I would buy lunch.
Every week, you guys. That is
every
persistence.
Week. Every week. And I would buy that entire office lunch. I had thousands on my credit card. And she'd say to me, sweetheart, my God, you're adorable. Because remember, I'm in my 20s.
Right.
And she's like, you're adorable.
You're still adorable.
Thank you. But she's like, you're adorable, but we have a finance guy. I said, but that's okay. He's going to mess up. And I'm going to be there when he messes up. He had been with them for 8 years. And it just so happened 2 weeks before Christmas, she comes to me and she says, okay, now I need you.
And 2 weeks before Christmas is not an easy time to close, right?
100%, I would think. 100%. I was working till 2 and 3 in the morning because it was global banking. So I would always say, my God, thank you to all the Kinkos and the FedEx that were awake and working with me. That was the only reason I was able to get it done. I would work in those centers at night, and then I ended up closing the deals even prior to the 2-week deadline.
She must have been blown away.
She was. Come on. She was. And then I ended up
this was in Palm Beach,
her,
which is a hard place to break into.
100%. 100%.
You know, because
everybody thinks I got the account from a man, so I love to share that it was from a beautiful, tall, statuesque woman that put her dues in, that got herself on that island. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And that's how it was. And then I remember saying to her, okay, now I've done it. And she said, okay, well, what am I going to say now? I have to give you the account.
Of course.
Because when I first made her the offer, she said, let's just see if you can get the deals closed. Right? So I said, I'll get the deals closed. And then she said, if you get the deals closed, I'll give you my business. I said, if I get those deals closed, you'll give me the account.
The boldness that you had at such a young age.
Yeah. I believe that comes from an Irish mother, though. I'm Puerto Rican Irish.
Okay.
My father was the lover side for sure.
Yeah.
Little too much of the lover side for sure. But my mother is a strong Irish woman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great combination, though.
My stepdad used to say piss and vinegar, and I'd always tell people, it depends on which one you want to see come out.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you've done that for how long did you do that?
Over 13 years.
13
and then
years.
even when I was actually diagnosed, I was still trying to consult. I was still trying to be in the game. I was still trying to be relevant. And,
so you got married.
Yeah.
What happened is you got married.
I
and
had
you
gotten
moved.
married, and then he had given us an opportunity that he couldn't pass up. He was a software developer, and he said, look, at that time, I had 2 homes, he had 2 homes, and he's like, we got to merge this. We're married,
right?
And
crazy to have 4 homes with 2 people.
Right, exactly. And I was trying to convince him, I don't want to sell my home. I had a 4% interest rate when people had 7, right? I had bought my rate. But he convinced me. And and I thought to myself at the time, as a good wife, I should do it. I want to do it. But I remember saying to him, I'm not getting a 3rd state license because at this point I had Pennsylvania, I had Florida, and it's a lot of, you got to do schooling to do that, and then you got a test that's for 3 hours.
Right.
So I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm over it. So he said, well, why don't you do your first love? And I had the opportunity when I was younger to do a little modeling, saw what it was like on both sides of the camera, and then that's how the photography came to be. Yeah. And even there, I said to myself, I am not going to do family photos for Olin Mills where you sit there like a Facebook shot. That was not me.
Next.
So exactly, not me. So then I said, you know what, I'm going to do some wedding photography. And I'll never forget going to a workshop. I wanted to see how the photography was done in Connecticut. And I remember an older gentleman saying to me, oh, you're just starting out in the photography. And I said, yeah, I'm just going to start out. Meanwhile, I had already had a bride and a couple weddings under my belt. And he's like, well, it's a tough industry here in Connecticut, so don't be discouraged if you don't get anywhere. It may take you about 5 years to do a wedding.
Don't you love people like that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
100%.
like,
I'm
why
like,
not encourage
here was my
people?
response to him. I said, it might have taken you 5 years because that's your journey.
Right, exactly, and everybody has
Yes.
a different journey.
Yes.
And I loved what you
Yeah.
did in the was it a high-end country club?
Yes, Avon, Connecticut.
So she
Yeah.
goes in, you guys, and what did you do?
Again,
this is
again.
crazy. That's what I love about you, is because you go after it.
But you know what, Emma, because I know we talked before we even
Right.
turned on the camera.
Yeah.
And at the last event, I had a woman that said to me, I'm in my 50s and I don't have this kind of confidence. Were you always that way? And I say, for me,
Yeah.
I always attributed it to the fact that I was a 70s baby born in the 80s, where we were so feral that, I don't know about Florida, but in Pennsylvania, they had to put a PSA announcement
Right.
that came over everyone's television
gosh,
at 10 at
that's so
night
funny.
that said, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?
Right. Because
Right?
everybody was outside. That's how we
Exactly,
were up in
exactly.
Buffalo. We'd go outside and play, and we didn't
Yes.
want to come in.
And
It
what
was
does that
like-
foster? That
Right.
fosters imagination and resilience.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
girl.
if you skinned your knee, you're lucky if you
Oh,
went
yeah.
home and they patted you on the head,
Put
gave you
some
like
dirt on it, get back
right?
in the
Exactly.
game.
You might have got like a little Band-Aid with like the Disney characters, and then
was
okay,
before
honey,
me.
go outside and play. I'll call you back when it's dinner time. That's what
Oh
I
my
grew
God,
up with.
that's so
That's
true.
what I grew up
That's
with.
so true.
Yeah.
So you
that's where I
go
get the
into
resilience.
this
Yeah.
country club, and
Yes,
what
yes,
happens?
yes. So I was actually shooting, and of course I don't, and this is bad on me, and I don't recommend it. There were signs everywhere that said, don't trespass, this and that.
Right.
But when you have a mission, and you're doing the action steps, God will watch over you.
Sure.
He'll watch over you. So there I
Absolutely.
was, and I'm shooting, and this guy comes up to me.
But you went to she went to
Yeah.
the website, you guys, and she said, "Oh no, these pictures
Oh, yeah.
don't do it justice." So
Yeah.
you go into this country club, you start
Yeah,
photographing.
because again, I was sitting in these old man steakhouses,
Right.
even in Connecticut, because that's where all the money is.
Right.
And I was saying to people, where are the weddings around
Right,
here?
right.
Because it's the parents that are paying for the weddings.
Sure.
So here's the trick. Even when you're in your 20s, think like, the 50 and the 60-year-old,
Right.
because they're the ones who are writing the check. That's how I
Absolutely.
learned about the name of this place.
Oh, my
And then after I saw the website pictures, I thought, me being from Florida, I was the girlfriend that even as a bridesmaid, I'd have my girlfriend say, can you just bring your camera? Can you just take some photos of me?
Because they
So
knew
what
how gifted you were.
Well, I just had a different edge, a different lighting. For me, I wasn't worried about it because in Florida, you have sun all year round.
Right.
So I wasn't
True.
worried about having to come with all this equipment.
Yeah.
In Connecticut, I would see these photographers with all this equipment, and I'm like, it's sunny out. Why do I need the equipment? And then I just realized I had a little bit of a different edge.
Yeah.
So I'm there and I'm taking these photos, and a guy in jeans comes up to me. He looked like a grounds worker, and he says to me, I'm sorry, I got trespassing signs everywhere. Like, what are you doing on the property? And I said, well, you know what? I took a look at the website, not for nothing, but the pictures look like crap. So I'm going to take all these new pictures, and I'm going to give these pictures away for free. And he goes, why would you give them for free? For free for what? And I said, well, in honesty, I'm looking for a bride. Because I knew if I could just get one bride that would see how good I would do, the rest would take care of itself.
Yep.
And he goes, so all you want is to give me the images. And if I like the images, I just have to give you one bride.
One
and I
bride.
said, yes. The rest is history.
Yeah.
I would go on to be booked out 4 months. In fact, I couldn't even leave when I got sick because I still had to do weddings all the way through October, even though I left him in December.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, the move did not survive the marriage. I'm a water baby
So sorry.
that now all of a sudden was
Yeah.
put in front of a mountain.
Yeah, you can't do
And it
that.
wasn't going to work.
yeah.
Yeah.
So when you got sick,
Yeah.
talk about that. Talk about what happened with that. and how
For
that
me
came.
personally, you know, and this is why I always tell women, you've got to take agency over your own body. Because I had 6 specialists. What happened was I was doing a wedding, and all of a sudden my hands froze. Now, part of the illness, you get what's called club hands. So in that moment, I didn't realize it, but they were trying to club. I took some shots. I released my hands. Unfortunately, my hands stayed that way. But I gave myself every excuse in the book because that's what your brain
Right,
does.
of course. You're
I'm
in
on
denial,
a job.
right.
Exactly. I'm like, you know
stressed
what? I'm from
out.
Florida, so it's got to be, my blood is thin, right? That's the excuse everybody uses. But something in me said, I better have this looked at. So 6 specialists later, and everybody's telling me everything from you're depressed, you just had a divorce, I
Right.
had had a miscarriage just a couple years prior. So I had everybody telling me everything under the sun, but my body kept saying, it's not
That's
that, it's
not-
something else.
Yeah.
And it was actually my mother that said to me, you know what, maybe we go to the family doctor. I'm like, that guy's still alive? I left Florida in my 20s, for Florida in my 20s,
Right.
I'm like, that guy's still alive. This man looked
How
like
old
something
were
out of
you
Weird
when you
Science.
got diagnosed?
I was 39.
Wow, okay.
And I said to my mother, I actually wasn't diagnosed until a month and a day after my 40th birthday, because at that point I had already done the blood work.
Right.
And I said to her, I don't want to hear the news. I want to celebrate my 40th birthday. So technically, I was already diagnosed at 39.
Okay.
But I had a huge white party for my 40th and said, whatever the diagnosis is, we'll handle it. But for right now, I just want to celebrate this moment.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we had a huge white party there.
So when you went to see this doctor,
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So he didn't even want to tell me really what it was. He was like, I hope it isn't this, but if it is, you need to get to Philly. There's only one center in the entire country. That happens to be the Thomas Jefferson Scleroderma Clinic. And it's right near University of Penn, all those hospitals up there. So when we went up there, it's disappointing to me because they're in the industry so long. Like my particular doctor, Dr. Jimenez, who's now retired, so I can speak about him.
Yeah.
He was a very educated man,
Right.
but very desensitized. So he literally looks at the papers with my
Right.
family there, and he's like, okay, so this is what you've got, and we're looking at 2 to 5, so I think you need to get home, get your affairs in order. There was no, like, take a moment, let's breathe.
Right.
None of that.
no,
None of that.
no bedside manner
No,
whatsoever.
and at this point now, everybody's crying, and I
course.
just went completely numb.
I bet.
And then I remember once we started talking, and we're looking at all these different scripts, he gave me 15 prescriptions.
Oh
and
my God.
And my mother knows a lot of what these are, right? My mother's, a very smart woman, and she's looking through, and she's like, okay, this is for this, this is for, and she's like, 3 of these are antidepressants. Because she's had different friends and different
Sure.
people that have been on different medications, and so she knew what she was looking at. And I said to him, why am I getting 3 for
Right.
depression?
And each one affects what you're
100%,
taking. It's like there's so many
100%.
different side effects.
Side effects. And he says to me, you'll be depressed. And I said, but shouldn't I wait to get depressed? You know what I mean?
I mean, seriously.
And at this point, my father's just like, okay, clearly you don't know my kid.
Right.
Right.
And
And that's the
yeah.
other thing. It's like, too many people expect the doctors to be your entire reason for living. And you have to remember, they're at the end of the river. I like to
Right.
use that example,
Yeah.
meaning they have no idea who's dropping dead bodies into the waters. Their job is to, hey, another one, let's
Right,
go, another
right,
one.
next.
No one ever stops to say, is there anything that anybody can do for them down there so they don't make it to me?
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
And that's why I feel today, the reason that I speak about my story is to give women permission to have that agency over their lives so they can say to themselves, I don't care what you say the diagnosis is.
You don't
I'm
have
going
to
take it from
accept
here,
it.
and God's the only one who's going to give me my timeline.
Amen, sister. Let me
Yeah.
tell you something. I had a
Yeah.
friend of mine. He was diagnosed with a cancer, like stage 3, and he said, "Okay, well, I'm not accepting that."
Yeah.
And do you know he healed himself through the
100%.
Lord, through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
100%.
And
It's
so
the reason I feel
oh
I'm
my
here.
God.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you went on a major journey.
Oh, 100%. And it wasn't easy in the beginning. I remember,
sure.
I had a lot of pushback from some Christian friends because of my faith. I do go to church every Sunday. If I'm not doing church in the building, I'm doing it virtually. And when
we're out and about,
wherever I
we
can get
are.
them, wherever I can get
We
them.
have to walk our
and,
faith.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had friends, though, that were like, you're going and spending time with the monks? What are you doing?
Now, how did that
Yeah.
come to be? How
Okay,
was that?
so I said to my mother, once I was diagnosed and knew that I had to put a team together, this
Yeah.
is where the benefit of having the business background,
Sure.
it would help me, because now I said to myself, great, this is no different than another, deal that I'm trying to put together.
Right.
I need to build a team, I need to find backing, and I need to see how I'm going to make this come to, fruition. So I said to her, at that point, I was literally living off of a donut in the morning with coffee, working 12 hours, never did yoga in my life. And that was kind of how I did. I did CrossFit, so I was fit mentally and spiritually.
Right.
But I remember saying to her, there's got to be something a little bit more out there. So I said, what about all these holistic expos where they claim that,
Right.
crystals can heal you? And I remember saying to my mom, look, if a crystal is going to heal me, I'm going to buy crystal chairs. Like whatever it's going to take at this point, because
Right.
when you're given 2 to 5,
Yeah.
and as I mentioned to you,
Yeah.
I had met a woman that died just 22 months into her diagnosis.
Exactly.
I had to do everything I could. So it took me 3 hours to get down one holistic expo, one aisle. And I saw, they're called host houses. And it was a woman that was running what was called Circle of Trees, where they're the host house where they bring in Tibetan monks.
Okay.
And then they do an event based around them. So
Okay.
you get to actually be in full immersion of how they live on a day-to-day basis. I'm talking about everything from making a mandala that takes 3 to 4 hours to seeing what they do with that mandala, which is built on a wooden plat. You take it down to a river, they do their ceremonies, and it's released. What they were teaching you in that moment was detachment. And it's in going down the rabbit hole of experiences like that that taught me how attached I was. Because there I am doing this mandala, watching them create this with sand in like a cake topper thing that you put the icing on.
Oh, yeah.
That's how they had to create this. And for 3-4 hours they're doing this. So when it's over, I'm like, I'm sorry, we're going to do what with it? We're going to take it to the river and it's going to go where? No. I'm figuring out how I can emboss this in like a shadow box and take this thing home. Yeah. And they said, no, here's the thing. Nothing is ours.
Right.
We are here to enjoy the moment.
Right.
Exactly. We're here to enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
And we release it.
And it's not like you went on this, it all of a sudden changed who you were as a Christian
100%,
woman.
no, 100%.
You know, I mean, you were still in
yes.
This connection was still there.
100%. Because they do their chanting.
Right.
Every day they do their chanting. So there's Soham, there's Sanskrit. Soham means I am, and things like that. And I would say, well, I'm here authentically as a Christian woman.
Right.
And I didn't even say to them, is it okay?
No, you just...
I just did it.
Exactly.
Because when you walk in your own authentic space, you don't need permission.
No.
Because I'm already coming as who I am, accept it or not.
Right.
So I would sit there, and as they're chanting for 20 minutes to an hour, I'm doing the Our Father prayer over and over again.
Which is the amazing.
Yes.
And
And
I
let me
love
tell you
that.
something else. There is science behind meditation. Oh, we need
Hold on,
a
we
break.
need to go to break, and
oh
we'll
my
be
God,
right
it's going
back.
too fast. It's going too fast.
We'll be right back, you guys. I knew it would.
Broughton Garage Door Sales now offers you a difference with the LiftMaster Secure View Ultra Quiet Smart Opener with camera, LED 360-degree lighting, and battery backup. Built-in camera adds video and two-way audio communication to the MyQ app. You can control, secure, and monitor your garage anytime, anywhere from your smartphone. Schedule today at broughton.com.
Just simply call Broughton. We open doors for you.
Tavilla Properties, located at 11471 West Sample Road, Suite 17, located in Coral Springs, Florida, for all your commercial needs. Call Jan at 954-341-1632. That's 954-341-1632, or visit www.tavilla.properties.com. Welcome back to Faith Stories. If you have any prayer requests, please email me at faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com. That's faithstorieswithdawn@gmail.com.
Wrap it that way.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, welcome back. Yes, we were chatting. We were like cracking up how fast it
This
went.
has to be an hour.
Oh my God, I
This
know.
has to be an hour
I
show.
know. It'll be an hour someday. It's all in God's hands. So
100%,
kind of wrap it all up and share why you share your story and how people can get in touch with you. Even though we have lower, they can see it on the lower part of the screen.
Okay.
But
and I love that question. Thank you for asking, because for me, the reason that I speak is because I want women to feel empowered by hearing my story.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I also want them to see possibilities in their own life through hearing my story. Because so many people feel like in this season of winter that doesn't seem to want to be spring, what do I do with that?
Yeah.
And I hope that when they hear my story, it resonates. So they can say, you know what, if she can do it with everything she's been through, then maybe as a healthy woman, I can do it. I can revisit those dreams that I thought were past.
Well, and see, that's the thing. It's like, God places dreams in your heart.
For a reason.
For a reason.
Yes.
I mean, I'm no spring chicken, and he placed this in my heart a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I just stepped out on faith. And I have to tell you, Dawn, I have met some amazing people, and you are one of them, that you took the time to come and talk to me about your story, because it's such an impactful story that people, I don't care if they're women or men, they need to hear it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Step out in faith. Trust the Lord. Know that He's got you.
Yeah.
And He will provide and He will open the doors. But key thing about what you said very early on. It's about relationships.
Oh,
It's not
100%,
about,
yeah.
I used to go to networking events and people would just go around the room and get cards. I would
No.
talk to one person,
Yeah, 100%.
maybe two,
100%,
because I
that's
wanted
it.
to connect and understand
Yeah.
who that person was. It
And you
wasn't
always
about
make
me.
it about them.
Ex-
You can't make it up. You can't
Right,
make it, yeah.
but it's true. It's not
Yeah.
about me. Just
Yeah.
just because the show has my name
And let
on
the
it.
energy lead you.
Right,
Because the energy will bring you to the person you're meant to align
absolutely.
with.
Yeah, God does it all. He does it
Yes.
all. He gets all the
Through
praise.
him,
you
all
guys.
things are possible. Yeah.
Thank you, and I want to have you back. I told
Yes.
you we needed to
I'd
do
love
this.
to. I'd love
okay,
to, yes.
awesome. So, you guys, next week I have Todd Kalura. He was in the hospital in December, almost died. It's crazy. He should not be walking, but he is.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing guy. It's going to be remote, so it's a little bit energy focused, when it's remote. But
Yeah.
just join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. You guys have a blessed week. And share, like, subscribe. I would love it. Thank you so much, you guys. Take care.
Thank you for watching Faith Stories, where you will hear stories of hope, faith, and love. Please join us next week, and remember, God meets you where you are, but doesn't leave you where you are.